Have you heard the one where I got kicked in the chest at Six Flags? Okay, stick with me on this one because it has a lot to do with patterns in my life that I'm just figuring out this week. So this one should be a fun one. Maybe not for me, but maybe for everybody else because we all have our little loops, our little patterns, our things that we fall into. And I'm going to start talking about it and just see where it leads. But the story about getting kicked in the chest. So, Texas, Six Flags. My mom used to drop me off with a couple of girlfriends or, a group of kids instead of the mall. Sometimes we'd go to the mall, but sometimes we'd go to Six Flags and Great Adventure, whatever you want to call it. And so we had season passes and we would go and it would be a glorious day. Well, that being, the summer, there's lines. I was with, I want to say, my friend Susie. And, this was back in the day when we're like, dark makeup and crazy looking hair. And, about the time right before I got kicked out of Catholic school, I'll just say that. And we're in line getting to talk to this stranger. He was a teenager, just like us. He wasn't so much punk. He was more like we like to call him like a hair farmer, a hesher. I don't even know if those words exist anymore. But basically, he liked heavy metal and he had like long hair. And we just thought he was cute. And, he was probably rebellious like us. So we started talking to him. Just, kid, teenage stuff. Could tell pretty right away that he did not want to talk to us. He didn't really want to engage. But, we were goofy girls and we're just like, ooh, being playful, I thought. Well, that line, dispersed after getting on the ride, whatever. We go about our day. Susie and I are, just having a lovely day. As we're walking through the park, we spot him again, like way out in the distance. And we're like, I'm like, oh yeah, let's go say hi. And we, go skipping around, running towards him. And he proceeded to kick me like it was a kung fu movie. He must have known karate. I don't even know. But the ones where you're like this and you're like, kicking your leg out like that. And it's like, like center splits. Oh yeah, it was legit. Hits me right in the chest. I go flying to the ground, not really able to breathe, not really able to, understand what just happened. Security came and I was like shocked. I'm like, he's like, well, felt like my life was being threatened. I felt like she was threatening me. And I just remember thinking, and I even said it, I'm like, I'm a little girl. I'm like, you really thought me skipping up to say hi in that fashion deserved that kind of reaction? And I couldn't, put two and two together. Yeah, I did something wrong. Yes, I wasn't really thinking about the other person, perhaps. But we were here and we had this reaction like way up here, and it was not. To me, it was not something that equated like equally. Now, moving through my life, I've now this week, really, or the last couple of weeks, started to see this pattern. I started to see this pattern come up in my life. And a couple of people have said I have a mantle for justice. I don't know what that means. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what that means. I do know that I am passionate about the right thing. I know I am passionate about what I feel is right. And I think that's where the disconnect has come. So doing some healing on this particular point in my life that where I got kicked in the heart, kicked in the chest, got kicked in this general area. A lot of the times when I would go through this pattern, I would feel it right here. This is a lot of the lymph that doesn't move. This is a lot of where I get tension. It's a lot of like where you feel like if people are poking you, that's where they poke you. Like, you did this, this happened, this is wrong. And so now, healing this part of my life, seeing the patterns, I realize that it's self-righteousness. Yeah, I know. It's not one that you want to really confess about, because it's like, yeah, I mean, I know, it's a sense of entitlement. Like, yeah, I get that. I get that there is a sense of standing up for what I believe. But I really have come into knowing that, well, I'm studying Ephesians, and the armor of God, and been really focused on the shoes, like the gospel of peace, and trying to be that peacemaker and peacekeeper. But then when I look back at, like, oh my gosh, I got kicked in the chest. What do I need to give God out of that trauma? Which, was a small little thing. I didn't even think it was a thing until I started talking about it. And he, gave me the breastplate of righteousness, the chest plate of righteousness, the protection of my heart, my lungs, my breathing, my core. You'll know why that's funny in a second. Because I think the reactions of the other parties in these patterns are reacting to my self-righteousness. So instead of taking the righteousness of, like, God, I'm taking it upon myself to impose my personal righteousness. And so we had that, and I'm sure there's other patterns that I'm not seeing, but I'm going to wash it away, and I'm just going to give it back, and we're going to start fresh. And the Father David Paul one. So suing the priest, you can watch that video. That one's a good one. So suing the priest. I didn't want to take off the belt. I didn't think I was wrong. I didn't think I had free dress day. Boom. Reaction. Big reaction. Get kicked out of school. Joffrey. Ballet. I was getting pummeled in rehearsal by the teenager that was in charge. I didn't think the teacher or the choreographer should have put a teenager in charge. I reacted. That blew up in my face. Big anxiety attack, big meetings with the staff because of how I reacted. I didn't think it was right. Big blow up. Wellness center. That was just last week's video. I didn't want to work Saturdays. That was it. I didn't think I should. Didn't think I needed to work Saturdays. I started and I put it in my files. I'm not working Saturdays. Didn't want to. Felt like it was a small thing. Boom. Big reaction. Fired. Or quit. Or both. Until just last week. Same pattern. Working in Pilates. I didn't want to do a safety. I didn't want to do a safety class. And she had every right. I mean, it's her business. She wanted me to do it. I didn't want to. I didn't feel I needed to, but it's not really about that. So for me, standing up for something small, it escalated. Now I no longer work there. And, I can see it clear as day now. Now that's a pattern that I don't want anymore. And I can talk it in circles as many times as I want, but the reactions that they're having whether they're over the top, whether I'm getting kicked in the freaking chest or what, they're going off of what I'm putting out. And for the specific Pilates studio, I mean, during my prayer, God was like, you're not supposed to be teaching Pilates. I want you somewhere else. So I kept just not listening. Like, I was like, well, these people need my help. People need, I really, people kept coming. I said, oh, can you teach me Pilates? So I did it. But honestly, that's not where God wanted me. So I got kicked in the chest again, got out of there. But that's the thing. Sometimes I'm not able to do it myself. I'm not able to leave a situation. I'm not able to either back down or do what's maybe required of me to get out of a season in life that God doesn't want me in. So I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing it last week. I knew I wasn't supposed to be teaching because there was a new door for me. And that's the thing about God, which is exciting and a little horrifying, is that, God's not like, okay, see that door that's open over there? We're going to just open that door. Let's go ahead and close this door. We're going to walk calmly and collectively to the next door that's open. No, he's like, you're going to close this door and you're going to walk out into the darkness and just follow me. And that's how a lot of this is felt. It's like, it's jump and the net will appear. But that's scriptural. I mean, you're walking with a lamp at your feet for every single step to light your path. That's him. He is taking you one little step at a time. So I didn't want to get out of what I was comfortable with because I have been, that's the same thing when I left dance. I didn't want to just jump into something new that I didn't know what it was. I didn't know where you wanted me. But that's what you have to do. Or sometimes it just blows up in your face. So I think with the heart and the chest, and the sternum, being able to let it go, and it will affect me, hopefully letting it go physically as well, hopefully clearing out the lymph in this general area, hopefully clearing out that feeling that I get when I'm not on the right path. Maybe it is an alarm system. But I'll tell you, this all was just perfectly planned. And I am so thankful for God to make it so stinking obvious to me, because I am a little bit of a Nimrod where I just, but like, I had my little video about the wellness center, and then I was in court. I dealt with the Pilates thing. I was in court all day being a juror. And it was literally about self-defense. It was literally about somebody standing up for what they wanted or believed in. And, that stand your ground. Like, it was fitting, a little too fitting. And then I was actually given another opportunity to, either use my own personal breastplate or use God's. And I'll just tell you the story, because I feel like I went a different direction. So I kind of broke the pattern. So church wanted me to teach a dance class. And we had all said, it's going to probably be a dance class, and it's going to call this, that, and the other. And then I missed a meeting. That's where I was wrong. And then I go to look at what the class is. The class didn't really talk about dance. It didn't have the dance name. It just was about kids. And I felt it. I felt it right here. That self-righteousness. That, well, they should have told me, or they shouldn't all over myself. So, after really healing and praying about like all this pattern in my life, I woke up the day I was supposed to, have another meeting. And even other people that I speak to are like, oh yeah, that's not right. You should talk to them. You should, let them know. But I didn't. I went in there and I was eerily neutral. Like, it's not in a bad way. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. And I went in there, I just listened. And I didn't have a problem. And it ended up being exactly what I wanted and I needed. It's still a dance class. It's still exactly what we spoke about. So I didn't have to take this crazy stand because I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was taking one little step at a time towards the direction in which God wanted me to go. And the only way I know these things is because I'm constantly in communication. But healing the deepest core of yourself, spiritually, physically, emotionally, is a process. It's a process. And I am always going to continue that process with myself because that's how I'm hoping to help everybody else with their process. Because it is sometimes dirty and sometimes it just feels yucky. But it always ends with a beautiful gift of healing, a gift of triumph, a gift of righteousness, a gift of peace. So going through that loop year after year after year in different ways, it was a magnifying glass for God to say like, whoop, you got something to work on here. Why don't you start? Why don't you just, work on this little part of you? And I said no. And then I said no again, and no again, and no again, and no again. Well, I think I was finally ready to deal with this part of me. So I do thank the kid that kicked me in the chest. I do thank Father David Paul. I do thank the Joffrey Ballet teens. I do thank the Wellness Center, and I do thank the Pilates director for going to that extreme to open my eye so that I could see my lack. And hopefully moving forward, I'll catch it faster. So I did catch this one faster. I do feel like I was like, okay, all right, that just happened. So that's one cool thing about this video is that it's literally about something that just happened. But that's the end. I'm good. I don't need to go through it again. Thanks.